next person on the list is Keith. First. Keith Cascio. Yes, State Assembly. He's running for State Assembly in District 55.
Come on up, Keith. Keith Cascio, run up for D5, and they asked Keith if you wouldn't mind coming up to the lectern. Yes. If you wouldn't mind. So, Keith, we're going to give you 2 minutes. Tell the family why they should vote for you, why they should support you as opposed to your opponent, and then we're going to get some questions from the audience.
Okay, I thought maybe 5 minutes? Was it? Okay. Yeah. I'm Keith Cascio. I'm the enthusiastically pro-reparations Republican candidate for this district that we're standing in, the 55th. And that is indeed an unusual position for a Republican. But if there was one Republican in California that would understand that issue, wouldn't it be the one who's trying to run to represent the most historic black district in California? All right. Please allow me to play 23 seconds of a famous song from 1975 I'm sure everyone here knows word for word. Okay, yes, the political machine. Okay, did everybody catch that lyric? I'm gonna speak it, and I'm gonna use a female pronoun. Welcome, my daughter. Welcome to the machine. What did you dream? It's all right. We told you what to dream. We told you what to dream. Now, let me quote from my blog post titled Slavery Reparations and the Political Machine. Quantitative reparations research and implementation is the best, most honest, most serious, and healthiest way for us Americans to finally address this country's history of racial exploitation. Now, how might we do that? I hope I can share something this evening that'll be useful regardless of whether I get elected or not. And I'd like to say that there's two kinds of people in politics. And I'm not talking about Democrats and Republicans. There's people who need politics for money, and there's people who don't. Now, there's a lot of amazing activists here this evening, some of the very best, and who have a lot of hard-earned experience. And they've seen how movements can gain momentum and movements can lose momentum. And if you have in mind an activist or a political worker or an elected official, and you realize, if we realize, that this person needs that political work to put food on the table or to pay rent, we're probably not going to see fierce independence from that person. If the people who are meant to carry a radical project like American slavery reparations into the proverbial end zone need that work in order to pay rent, you might have to forget about that radical project. Instead, what we would see is cycle after cycle of grift. Grift on the suffering of the American black community. And with each cycle of grift, the cynicism sets in deeper. Now, by the way, there is absolutely no money in underdog Republican political campaigns in Los Angeles. I can assure you, zero. Okay? And if that lack of money repels anyone, I get it. But it's better to know that up front. Now, my opponent is a super nice guy. He's a smart guy. But if I were to pantomime the political predicament that he's in, I would do it like this. Okay? You know, the Bryan for Assembly 2024 campaign, I can assure you, does not envy our lack of funding, does not envy our lack of staff, does not envy our lack of endorsements, does not envy our lack of glamour, but I think on some level does envy our political freedom. the fresh air of freedom to genuinely represent and inspire and champion the citizens in the 55th Assembly District. And, you know, we can go out like we did all day today at Taste of Soul with a bright smile on our face, inspiring the community with no dark sarcasm behind it. And, you know, meanwhile, a lot of elected officials in California, perhaps my opponent, have to bite their tongue because they know that playing in that particular arena, they have to, their only option is to be the machine-installed, machine-funded replica of that thing. I'm not trying to say he's a bad guy. I'm just saying this is what the system that he's trapped in. Now, I'd like to say something else political, but I want to say I would never insult LA Democrats, okay? I've done extensive door-to-door work in this district, and guess who's friendly at the door? Registered Democrats. If I have any of my Republican fellows here, I apologize, but guess who's not friendly at the door? Republicans. Security cameras, no solicitor signs, beware of dog, barbed wire. Okay, but can you imagine waking up in the morning in Los Angeles, where I've lived for 23 years, with the amazing mix of incredibleness that we have here and severe problems, and thinking about how to try to solve those problems, and thinking to yourself, you know what LA's missing? You know what LA needs more than anything else? One more Democrat. That's what it needs. That 3 million registered Democrats in LA County, but one more is going to do it. All right, now, this district, the 55th, is so incredibly special. It's explosively special. The voters in this district could change all of American politics overnight. Not just LA politics, not just California politics, literally the entire country. If the right, moderate Republican candidate were to come along, and in the general election, if that candidate were to overperform by enough to shock the pros, not even enough to win, just enough to shock the pros, a political shockwave would go across the entire United States overnight. Here's what the consequences of that would be. And what happened on August 31st in the Assembly? Wasn't that a lack of responsiveness to the community? Wasn't it a lack of governmental responsiveness? Okay. This shockwave would go across the country where in every urban area in this country, the Democratic Party would suddenly become concerned about losing the vote, and would become massively more responsive to the communities that they're supposed to represent the way they should have been the whole time. Another consequence of it would be that the Republican Party would get a clue about how to actually try to win in urban districts. And it would remake politics in the United States, and everything would be up for grabs. And, you know, otherwise, there's a song for that, and anybody can join in and sing with me if you want to. Welcome, my son, welcome to the machine. Thanks.
Thank you, Keith. Don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. I think the people gotta talk to you, Keith. Brother, we're gonna go. Brother Yamoy, we're gonna go right here. But I gotta take 2 questions for Keith. Brother, family, right, and then 1 more question for Keith after that. All right. Yeah, another one.
What does reparations mean to you, and why have you decided to run for reparations for Black people? Like, what benefit are you gonna get out of this? And why are you wearing red, black, and green shoes?
Okay, these shoes have proven very versatile. Everything I do as a candidate is something I learned over time. I used to come down oftentimes after church to Leimert Park, and I would campaign here wearing much more conservative shoes, a more conservative tie, and I heard something that I thought was a joke, and then I decided in the end that it wasn't a joke. I was being mistaken for law enforcement. And so I took some advice, and I colored it up a little bit, and I've gotten a better response. The shoes also came in handy for Hispanic Heritage Month, because they're basically the colors of the Mexican flag also. Okay, but much more important question. how did I get to?
Hold on, family, hold up.
How did I get
Yeah,
to
brother.
reparations? So I'm an engineer by profession. Okay, I'm a software engineer. You know, you give me a task like try to win the assembly seat in the 55th district, where I've lived for 23 years. You know, and I try to learn little by little, and I go to places to try to observe. I go to, let's say, black churches, First AME, West Angeles Church of God in Christ, Baldwin Hills Baptist Church, Bethesda Temple down on Crenshaw. And what seems to have happened is that there were things I set out to observe and things I set out to learn, and I somehow learned something much deeper than that. And I realized that, you know, I'm from Brooklyn, New York originally, by the way, Chris. You know, as far as I can tell, the American black community is absolutely not understood. American history is not understood. Why might that be? Because the history is so violent that so many people had to protect themselves. They had to use various techniques of obfuscation, language, and things. There became a lost in translation effect just for people to protect themselves. And as a result of that, decades, hundreds of years later, the whole thing is totally confused. People don't understand it. They're full of fear. They're full of distrust. I don't know. The process of campaigning for office for me has made me extremely optimistic. I think we're living in a world now where you stay on your phone at home, you become like depressed. You go out and just go to churches and synagogues and mosques and chambers of commerce and neighborhood associations and cultural events, and you feel like the world hasn't actually changed as much as they say that it has. People are still pretty normal, and it's very uplifting. So I came to a point where I just realized that all these other things that are talked about are not going to work. The American black community is not going to stand by and have history like sort of forgotten about or sort of downplayed. It's like there's a extremely strong intellectual core to the black community that understands history perfectly well and is just basically waving a big flag, trying to say, is this country going to finally admit what happened or not? Because when you start researching it, you know, like for example, the documentary Slavery by Another Name, you find out it was like 100 different things after Reconstruction, right? Everybody here knows. And a lot of the whole country is basically just flying on autopilot, just not worried about it. It's been life transforming for me.
So what does reparations look like?
Okay, cash payments. How much? So it's a lot. You know, if I could talk.
Hi, this is Dee. I want to know what is the number one thing that you, as a Republican candidate for District 55, would do differently from our current representatives? The number one thing that you would change.
Right. So that was kind of, I was trying to dramatize that earlier with the music and everything like that. Okay, in New York City, where I'm from, my hometown, in Chicago and in LA, we have a political machine. That is defined by political scientists as dominated by one party. There's a blurring of distinction between party and government. Those are supposed to be two completely separate things. And it's a patronage system where jobs and money are handed out for political loyalty. In all of human history, you don't tend to see accountability from elected officials in a system like that. So what I'm trying to experimentally try to show is that there actually could be genuine political competition in an urban area that usually is thought of as being like completely foregone to a machine. And that would loosen up resources, and it would force the powers that be to be more responsive. So, you know, actually, Assemblyman Bryan, my assemblyman, and I agree on a lot of things. However, I think, and I meant it when I said it earlier, I think he envies the amount of political freedom I have. In fact, you could construe it in a way, my campaign may actually empower him. Because as long as he's able to go to his people and say, look, there's somebody coming, or there's more attention being paid here, he could literally be given more funds, he could be given more power to actually implement the policies that he wants to implement. And that's good politics always looks like that. It always ends up empowering the community that you're trying to represent.
We're gonna take one more from sister right here. Sister, your hand went up and your face said it all.
So, are you a Trump supporter? Do you believe in him, his policies, the way he reacts, the way he responds to things he says about black communities and immigrants? Are you in line with that realm of thinking?
No, I'm not in line with that realm of thinking. I think American national politics has become a charade. I'm campaigning for office here, and I don't need any more, I don't need to campaign for him, you know? So, right, that's the number one question. If you run as a Republican in urban Los Angeles, that is the number one question. How do you feel about Donald Trump? I think a Republican candidate has to have a PhD level answer for that. Okay?
Are you kissing the ring?
I'm not a fan of the complete stupidity of American politics right now. I'm not a fan of the fact that basically national politics is a charade, the purpose of which is to hide the way the American economy works.
Okay, so Keith, I'm just gonna pick up on the question that I wanna get to our next candidate. The question is, are you a supporter or are you going to Trump? The answer, can you answer yes or no?
I haven't voted yet. I'm not a supporter of Donald Trump. I haven't voted yet. Right now, my current thinking is I want to vote for the most anti-war candidate.
Okay. Thank you, Keith.
The first 18 years of my voting life, I was registered green. The point, the intellectual point where you say evil and eviler,
Keith,
that's how I started my voting life.
So Keith, thank you very much. Keith, appreciate you. Thank you for your time, brother. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Let me switch your mics. Okay. Hold on. Give me that here. So Keith, there's one last question for you. Will you sign the reparations pledge, though, Keith?
Absolutely, enthusiastically. I did sign it already. I'd be happy to sign another copy if that would be it.
Okay, Keith is signing the pledge. Okay. Somebody got you coming over here. All right. Have it. You got it? Okay. All right. So Keith has signed it already, y'all. Keith is actually signed it already. Okay, let's do it. Come on. Keith, come up here real quick if you don't mind. People want you to see it. People want to see you do it, Keith. You can give me a blank one if you don't mind. Give me a blank one. And where's that pen at? All right. We're putting everybody, we want to see everybody do it. Where's that pen at, fam? All right, there we go. Sign on the dotted line, Keith. Okay. And family. All right. Keith, you get a lot of good questions.
I don't know the individual symbol means.
Okay.
Wear red, black, and green shoes, but doesn't know what they mean.
So, okay, fam. We're gonna go to the next candidate. All right, thank y'all. Keith, please, thank you very much, Keith. You can have a seat. Thank you very much. Wow. Now, let me say real quick, I'm very proud of us right now. All right, I'm very proud of us. Okay, I'm very proud of us. Okay, real talk. Okay, thank God. Oh my. Okay.